Hey YouTube, this is PokéCastXVll here, and today I'm taking you through a recorded game that I played using the Volcanion EX deck. Now this deck has become very popular, well as of late, only because of, I guess it was popular around World's time as well. There were quite a few people playing it then, but it wasn't really like a mainstream deck like it's become now. It's at the moment is really good just because of, I guess, how popular grass has become because of Sun and Moon, and it's a great counter to that. On top of that, it's a very solid deck in its own right just because of the fact that it could have one-shot a lot of EXs like Yveltal EX, which is also quite popular. So this is just pretty much me setting up. And as you can see, my opponent is playing some kind of like EV deck, which is another deck that has become quite popular, I guess, through Sun and Moon because of the release of Espeon and Umbreon GX, which is obviously the new archetype. So this is just me kind of playing through, and I'll kind of give you an insight as to what I was thinking when I was playing the game. And as you can see, I have a Tauros GX in my hand. It's this deck is still kind of in the works. I just figured since I don't play any kind of GX attack, I figured I might as well fit one in. And obviously with Tauros, it's probably the easiest one to fit in just because you can use it off a single double colorless energy. And at this point I was just using Steam Up just because of the fact that you kind of get the fire energy into the discard pile, and then you use the Volcanion that's not the EX Volcanion, which is probably what I'm going to search for here. Yeah, just kind of looking through my deck, just a brief check as to kind of what's prized and what's not. And so yeah, I'm just kind of getting ready for, you know, next turn, where ideally next turn I'm going to want to be using the Volcanion just to kind of use it as an energy accelerator. And with this deck you do run a lot of switching cards just because of the effect that Volcanion EX has, which when obviously you attack with it, you then can't use the attack the following turn. So you kind of need ways to reset that effect. Just because, you know, once it hits the bench, then that effect is then resetted. So you run things like Floatstone, Escape Rope. So one thing that I am now cautious of, because he played the Zoroark down, which is Zoroark, because obviously when my bench starts to become a lot more full, that Zoroark is going to be hitting me for some pretty high numbers. So I want to try and maintain, you know, my bench to a decent size. So yeah, I'm just kind of, you know, seeing how this turn kind of plays out. And one thing that's quite good about this new Eevee that was printed in Sun and Moon is its ability, which when you attach an energy to it, it just allows you to, well, assuming it's a basic energy, evolve it into a Pokemon that corresponds to that type. So if you attach a darkness energy to it, you can get out your Umbreon GX. And the common play as well is, well, because you play a lot of EVs, is to run things like Jolteon and Vaporeon. And I guess you can run Flareon as well. So the idea, I guess, is you counter a lot of different types within the metagame. So Vaporeon is very good in this matchup just because it tackles, you know, Volcanion is weak to water. And interestingly, he goes with an Espeon GX. So not what I expected. I thought he was going to be going for an Umbreon. Although that does confuse me, which is, it is annoying, but I have means of getting out of it, which isn't so annoying. So at this point, I'm kind of just weighing up my options. So Confusion doesn't stop me from retreating, which I can still do that. So I attach the Floatstone to the Volcanion. And now I'm going to use a Lysander. And I'm bringing up that Eevee just because as long as that Eevee is in the active spot and I can knock it out, which I'm going to because I can use Steam Up and increase my Volcanion's attack, it's pretty vital that I knock that out. Just because if he evolves it into Vaporeon, then that immediately becomes an issue for me. So that was predominantly why I went for that. But yeah. So it's quite annoying having to hit the numbers because one Steam Up takes me to 50, which isn't enough to knock out that Eevee. If I had something like a Fighting Fury Belt, then that would be pretty cool. But then I guess the issue with Fighting Fury Belt, and in this list I only play one, just because you can't, it doesn't have the versatility of something like a Floatstone, and to be honest it doesn't really put in that much work. I mean, it's certainly useful, especially with the HP bump, but quite often it just gets stuck on a Pokemon, and that Pokemon then gets stuck in the active spot. So again, it's just, you know, I play just the one because it does have its uses for sure. So let's just kind of see where they go with this. See what they do. And I guess looking in my hand, I could go with the Skyfield play next turn and go the Volcanion as a Psychic. 110, which is great because it doesn't knock me out. Yeah, so I could go with the Skyfield play. I'm opting not to do that. I think just because of the fact that Zoroark is on the bench. And, you know, with a DCE and a Floatstone, actually, well, I guess you just have to evolve the Zoroark into Zoroark, and then that immediately becomes a threat because it has, you know, its ability which just switched it into the active spot. So yeah, let's Ultra Ball, and I'm just gonna go through my deck for something like a Shaman. I guess that's fine for the moment. That's, you know, it's not putting too much pressure at this point. So that Escape Rope is certainly taking my interest. I guess it would... actually, I have a Floatstone on the Volcanion EX on the bench, so I can go straight back into Volcanion, but I missed that... Oh, that Enhanced Hammer is actually very useful at this point, just because I can get rid of that Espeon's DC. And yeah, so once I use the Escape Rope, he'll have to promote something. I'm assuming he's going to promote... My guess would be the Shaman. He doesn't want to concede 2 prizes, but I think that Zoroark is probably more valuable to him at this point. But let's have a look, see what he does. And he's thinking about it. Oh yeah, so he's going to go the Shaman. So at this point, I can just go into my Volcanion EX, and I don't have to worry because he's got the Floatstone on it. So yeah, just purposely not benching that Volcanion. I've got 4, that's a lot in itself, I guess. What was that, like 120, I think? 120 plus a 10, so 130, which doesn't quite one-shot my Volcanion EX, but to my Volcanions it's not good. So just kind of assessing my options at this point. So I think we're just going to go back into Volcanion and just try and... yeah, we're just going to go back into Volcanion. Okay, so we've got some energy on the board there. Which actually fits in quite nicely because once that Espeon comes up, we should be able to hit some big numbers to try and knock it out. And as you can see there, he's just put in his discard pile that Flareon, which obviously if you're playing against grass variants, then that's where it becomes useful. But yeah, so immediately again that Eevee is kind of you know, staring me down, just because I know that once he gets to Vaporeon, you know, that is going to be quite crucial for me to knock that out. Okay, Rough Seas, which is actually not too bad for us as well because we can utilize Rough Seas. So really the main intention of using Rough Seas is because obviously when Jolteon comes into play and it turns all your stage 1s into water and lightning types, well, it gives them the additional typing, then I guess I can, well, then they can use it on all of their Pokemon. So it's a great way of sort of utilizing, you know, Jolteon with Rough Seas. But also the Volcanion EX is dual type as well, so I can utilize that. But annoyingly, so that Lysander is certainly interesting at this point. So I'm thinking Escape Rope. Yeah, I'm thinking Escape Rope at this point. I don't really want to waste another Floatstone. Be interesting to see what he brings up. Okay, Shaman. So I guess we just go for the knockout at this point. Another option would have been to bring up that that Eevee, but I think we're okay. We're in a good spot at this point. So, and because of the way we've taken prizes, we've got 3 prizes left, which is just 1 GX and a non-EX or non-GX Pokemon to knock out. So that kind of fits us in quite nicely with the prize exchange. So teammates, so I think it's pretty evident at this point. I'm thinking a DCE and a Vaporeon would be my guess. So we can attack with, okay, there's a DCE and there's a Vaporeon, so kind of predictable. And as you can see, just because of that Vaporeon, the weakness increased to double. So now we're going to bench the Volcanion, and we're going to stick down some float stones just because now if we get end for our next turn, we're going to lose those float stones, so it's important that we do stick them down. So Slisander up that, and this is definitely the better way to do it, because what happens if you take a knockout on a GX Pokemon or an EX Pokemon and you've gone down to 1 prize, then obviously I only run 2 Shaman anyway in this deck, but if I was to run a third, which is you do see Shaman decks with 3 Shamans in, it's very possible that you can draw 2 cards and an Ultra Ball, which would get you a Shaman. But if you only have 1 card, then obviously that limits your options quite a lot. See, so my opponent goes for an N, and at this point we could have been down to 1 prize and only 1 card, but we've got 2, and that's increased our odds of drawing something decent, which we get a Sycamore and a VS Seeker and a Lysander. So he's used N, so he's not going to use a Lysander this turn. So my thinking is to, I guess Rough Seas is out, so what I can do is utilize Rough Seas and just heal away that damage. But that Tauros has a pretty hefty retreat cost, 3, as you can see there. So that was my thinking, to try and bring it up, and then in the process I could power up some more attackers, because I believe I have some energy in the discard pile. So we'll get the Lysander. We'll go for that. We'll go for that route. We can't attack with Volcanion anyway, because we attacked with it last time, and it has the added effect that I can't attack the following turn. So I think that's the best play. And we've got Fisherman in hand, so we can then recover some energy back, if we have any left in the discard pile, I'm not sure. And you steam up to deal some more damage to the Tauros. Well, let's see. Let's hope that he can't get out of the situation. Let's see. We know he has a Lysander in hand, so we could stall out Shaman. But I guess what we would do then is just Fisherman the energy back, I guess. Oh, okay, it doesn't do anything. So we'll Rough Seas, try and bring that damage down. Cool, just see there's only 1 energy in the discard pile. We'll bring that back, and we'll steam up again. Just trying to apply some pressure to this Tauros. We've got Sycamore in hand anyway, so I don't think he plays anything like Delinquent. I'd be very surprised if he did. I think that was a mistake. I was supposed to put that onto the other Volcanion. Maybe I thought there were 2 fire energy in the discard pile, but there was only 1. But nonetheless, I suppose if he tries to stall out the Shaman like he is, I guess now I have to fish for another energy or something to get out, but I've got a Sycamore in hand, and I'm likely to hit that. So let's see. Cool, so we get the fire energy, which is immediately going to, well, we'll rough seas first, but let's retreat that. Bring up Volcanion, and I guess we'll just sick them all for fun. See what we would have got, and I think we've got game there, yeah, and he just concedes a game. So I guess you can see the power of Volcanion just by kind of watching that game over. It's very strong in its own right, just because of how well it does against grass Pokemon. And yeah, just in general, it one-shots a lot of things like EX and GX Pokemon. But let me take you to the deck, and you can kind of see, I mean, it's not by any means the you know, I guess the finished article, if you like. I'm not really too sure what the optimum list is, but this is kind of what I'm testing at the moment. So you can kind of have a look. 2 Shaman, the Tauros, as I said, was predominantly for its GX attack. Since this deck doesn't run any GX attack, any attackers, and it's just such a great, you know, added effect to have in the game. And then you just have like it's a very standard deck. I mean, you play like Olympia, just the one, because you can revive it with the VS Seeker. You have the Float Stones, you know, to get around its Volcanion's attack. And then you have things like Escape Rope, and then Energy Recovery like Energy Retriever and Fisherman, and then some acceleration in Volcanion and with Max Elixir. So there you pretty much have it. That is the list that I'm testing at the moment. So let me know what you think in the comments down below, or if there's any changes that you'd make. But otherwise, yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm definitely going to be doing a lot more of these, you know, these trading card game online videos. So yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you all next time.